Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Premier. Premier, people are wondering why they should believe anything that this government tells them. The serious trust issues that existed pre-election continue. The Premier's Minister of Health says that cuts to health care and home care are a myth, but the province's CCACs are saying that nursing hours and PSW services are being cut back. You can't deny that. How can the Premier expect people to believe her government when the cuts she denies not only exist, but are the lived experiences of people in this province?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I know that the Minister of Health is going to want to comment on the supplementary, but let me just repeat what I have said a number of times in this House, which is that we continue to put more money into home care, Mr. Speaker, into community care, to allow people to get more service and to allow more people to get the service that they need in their homes so that they can stay in their homes and that the care that they get is adequate, Mr. Speaker. The other reality is that we are going through that transition. We are changing the system, Mr. Speaker, so that more people who might have traditionally been in hospital can get the services that they need in their homes. And that means that there are changes happening in communities across the province. But we continue to invest more, Mr. Speaker, and we will continue to invest so that we can move through that transition and people can get the care that they need where they need it.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Thank you again to the Premier. Premier, it's not just health care, and I don't think that you know where this money is going because it is not going to the front line. It's happening across your entire government. Speaker, the Premier said that there is not a sell-off of our shared public assets. But Ed Clark has said in black and white that the plan is to sell off Hydro One's distribution business, even though it's profitable, to privatize local hydro utilities, even though they're profitable, and he's opening the door to selling OPG hydro dams, even though they're profitable. How can the Premier expect people to believe this government when they are saying they won't sell assets, and then they're turning around and proposing the sell-off of those very same assets?
Mr. Speaker, I guess there's a loose connection between that supplementary and the initial question. But what I will say is that we ran on both the issues that the member is raising. We said very clearly in our budget and in our platform that we were going to continue to transform the healthcare system. We were going to continue to invest in the care that people need where they need it. We also said that we were going to ask Ed Clark to look at the assets that are owned by the people of Ontario, and we were going to make sure that we were doing everything in our power to make sure that they were optimized, that the value of those assets was optimized so that we could invest in the assets, in the infrastructure, in the transportation infrastructure that's needed now in 2014, Mr. Speaker. So Ed Clark and his commission have looked at the assets. He has made recommendations, Mr. Speaker. It's exactly what we said we were going to do, and we are going to act on those recommendations.
Final supplementary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. There's no disconnection between the questions. The theme is that you say one thing and you do another thing. And Premier, after all the problems that your government has had in the education sector, you are now proposing cuts to that ministry as well. Speaker, in public, the Premier says that there's more money going into schools. She just said it. In private, the documents show that $500 million is proposed to be slashed out of the school board's budgets. How can the Premier expect anyone to believe her when her government is denying health care cuts, they're denying the fact that they're selling off public assets, and they're denying that they are cutting public education budgets in the province of Ontario?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I am well aware of the member opposite's background in education. I know she knows full well that there is more money in education. There continues to be more money in education, and she knows that the damage that was done under the previous regime, Mr. Speaker, has been repaired year after year after year under our government, and we will continue to do that, Mr. Speaker. But as we said, on investments in home care and health care, investments in and the review of our assets, Mr. Speaker. We also said that we're going to work with school boards because we know that there are fewer students in many of our schools, Mr. Speaker. We know that school boards struggle often with the consolidation of schools. We know that there are ways that school boards can work together, and we're going to work with school boards to make sure that they are able to do that.